Hi, this is Frigus Raid, and today I'm going to show you my current comp. This is a little bit of a showcase and also a little bit of a how-to. This is something I've been able to just drop some absolutely massive keys with. I've gone ahead and hit at this point again what's the second highest team comp key next to Victor Tez's most recent offering. And my last key I've hit with this is about 274 million. I'll actually show you that run as part of this. But first, what I would like to do is just spend a minute and introduce the team. So I'm going to quickly start with the team setup. So this is using Cardiel. If you look at the setup here, you're going to see that because of Cardiel's speed buff, I'm able to run this team very slow. Now, Cardiel isn't perfect to run on 2-1 comps that are not unkillable until this last patch that allowed you to change the AI came out. His A2 is not the preferred skill by default. His ally attack is. So if you were trying to use it to make an affinity-friendly team, it would not be able to be used. So what I've done is using the AI, I have changed the priority around. So he actually prioritizes his A2, and that does allow me to ensure that whenever I want to block debuffs, it is cast. Now, I probably lose some ally attacks because of this, but I gain in that I always get the attack from the stun tank, which is Iron Brago, and I can run this on green affinity, which is the absolute best affinity damage-wise for this team, without dealing with any of the speed debuffs. So if you look at this, you'll see that I've also switched the priority of Krisk's abilities. This is honestly just so I can automate it. It doesn't change anything. They're both 3-turn cooldowns. This is a build that's based off of Pavo's 2-1 setup using, it's a Lydia Krisk team. So you basically have Krisk going, then Cardiel, then Lydia, with Lydia going last, even though Cardiel is fastest. So this is a variant of Pavo's team build, and if you look at the speeds, you're going to find that the actual speeds are pretty similar, but by virtue of Cardiel's 19% speed boost, I've been able to run them much slower, and when you see the gear, you'll see that I was able to do a lot more with them gear-wise, and that, of course, is part of the key to get some of that crazy damage out of this team. This is a team that I actually got the idea from another guy who does some endgame teams called Amazar, and he and I kind of conversed about it, and then by chance I pulled Cardiel in the 10x off of a random void from the Clanboss, and so I don't have Brogni. Brogni is the popular guy to run with Pavo's comp, so I decided I would use Cardiel and do some things with his AI, and it really works well. So again, you can see the setup. You do see that Cardiel will cast his A2. You're going to see Krisk extend it. So that means he's going to block debuffs here. And then likewise, you'll see him do the same thing before the stun, which also will block debuffs. You'll see that this setup is really good. It does cover with Ally Protect and Strengthen, both the AoEs, and if you were to have Valkyrie or Brago take the stun, which would be the two people you want to be stun targets, they are also going to be fully protected by both Ally Protect and Strengthen when the stun comes. So this build pretty much protects your people that you want to be protected for all 3 turns, and it can last right up to the turn limit. And the run I'm going to show you, it does last up to the turn limit, and you'll see that you're able to get phenomenal damage out of it. I did initially run this at the faster speeds too, and so this was my first pass at setting this up. When I did this, I did not make Cardiel the lead, but rather used Brago as the lead, so he would take the stun. When I slowed this down, I actually gave Cardiel Steadfast Mastery. So I basically, did some things to ensure that he wouldn't be the stun target, and then I was able to put him in the lead and take advantage of the speed cooldown. So I'm going to go ahead and bounce back to the setup. I'll quickly show you the champs, their gear, and then I'm going to go ahead and show you the run. So if we start with Cardiel, you'll see that he is in Stalwart with 1 speed. Kind of just breeze through this gear pretty quickly. It's pretty good gear. I've done a fair amount of work to improve his attack. There's more I could do, but I don't want it to get it too low. I'm probably going to do some more experimenting and see if I can't get him down to 3,000 defense and see if I can still get to the turn limit. But all up, you can see he's just under 3,000 attack and 3,400 defense. When I run this, the run last night, he was actually a little bit over 3,000 and a little bit over 3,500 defense. Since I ran it, I was in plat. Right now, I think my team is in gold 4, so you can see that it's a little lower. He doesn't need accuracy for what I'm doing, so I'm pretty much using attack. If you go to the masteries, you'll see that I have given him Steadfast to ensure the stun targeting, and I've also just gone straight down the tree to give him extra heals and to also extend his buff when he casts it. And that's not really for the block debuffs. That's for when he uses his ally attack. He gives a plus 30% crit rate and a plus 30% crit damage buff, and that's beneficial. And it's if it was used more frequently, I could actually, if it was like on a 3-turn cooldown, I could use it to power the team and just put everybody at 70% crit rate. It's not up all the time, and as a result, I am not willing to take away crit rate from key individuals on the team. And once you'll see Brago, you'll see that I haven't. Now that being said, some of the champs I'm willing to not be crit capped on, and at this point in time, Cardiel is one of them. You'll see that there's Krisk and Valkyrie also, you'll see, are not fully crit capped. So there's probably some damage being lost by that, but because of his crit rate buff, it's not as harmful as it would be otherwise. So I'm going to go ahead and continue next to Lydia. Lydia is pretty tanky. Now, the one concern I have with using her in this comp at these slow speeds is 248 is really the absolute lower limit of where I find her to be useful for Doom Tower and speed runs. And honestly, all things being considered, probably when I'm going to run in hard mode Doom Tower, or if I were to use her in dungeons, I might just swap out the chest with an accuracy chest again that has better speed on it, and see if I can't get her up closer to 268, 270, because that's really where I'd rather her be. I mean, normally, her normal setup, and I started with her inner normal setup and started tweaking to get better damage, is I usually run her, at least 270, and with, between 400 and 500 accuracy. But in this case, I've kind of left her to be fairly tanky still. Her defense is a little bit lower than it could be. I actually lost some hit points too, just to get her a little bit of extra critical damage. Her debuff accuracy is still pretty good. That's critical to the team damage. And if you look at her mastery, this is the typical masteries that I use. I try to get blast proof. I try to get delay death, and then the counter attack. I don't get very much damage out of these. This team, when you watch this run, you will see that almost never does she take damage that gets through the shield. So it's truthfully not a particularly useful. But I mean, I may be better served to actually have her in the support tree. But in any case, I've left her in the defense tree for blast proof and delay death, and I think that will allow me to lower her defense even lower, especially since Brago's on the team. But at least at this point, that's where she is. Now Krisk, this is the big guy. He's pretty much in pure mitigation. At the slower speeds, I have been able to get him at least a solid crit rate, and you'll see that I've pretty much preferred hit points over defense in my setup. That's partly because I have some really good gear with defense rolls on it, or speed rolls, but also because really at 4,500 and also with Brago's defense, and defense up all the time, he's already past the point of mitigation and very diminishing returns. So once you're above 4,500 with him, I think especially if you have defense up buffs, it's better investment to just pour it into the health points. As you can see, he's not crit capped, but he's close to it. He's 80% crit, and he's got some room to improve on critical damage probably, but ultimately he's not there to do a lot of damage. It's bonus anything that he gets me. And once again, you'll see that I have him in the same masteries that I typically use. All right, now we're going to continue on. I'm going to go to Brago. This is the guy who is going to do the most damage on my team. You will see I have him in Stalwart as well. That's because he is taking the stun. I do not ever want to see the shield blasted off of him. And I've pretty much made sure his hit points are nice and low, and made sure he has really good defense and really good crit damage. You can see he's in plat when I ran this, he was at 5,800 and 261% crit damage. If I was willing to break his crit cap, I could get him up over 280 probably, or real close to 280. I'm probably going to experiment with that a little bit later, but right now you can see this is still really solid and nice low hit points, which in traditional teams that aren't relying on a shield and trying to last real long, it's not attractive to have champions with such a low hit point total. It's actually counterintuitive. But if you're taking the stun, the percentage of the damage the Clanboss does is based on the number of total hit points. So if you're getting a huge shield, you actually want this hit point total to be low so that you can mitigate more of it and not have it break through the shield, which is why I have him where he is. And that's also why I have him in Stalwart. With the Strengthen, Ally Protect, and Stalwart, he should have a lot of shield left when it comes to take the slam. And I will say, on Void, he will die to the slam. On Affinity, he's not the one who dies usually, and that's just the way I like to see it. I don't want that to be a problem, and I want him to do a lot of damage. The last champion, and this is my my other big damage dealer, accurate, you know, Ossel, which has not been the case in my previous comps, but is Valkyrie. And the main reason she's dealing a lot of damage is because I have her in Toxic. So if you see, I've been able to get some pretty solid defense numbers in Toxic. This is not the greatest gear. I would love to ditch these boots. I would probably keep the chest, but this isn't my Toxic gear is not as strong as I thought it was, but I still, I'm still able to get pretty close to 8,000 defense, and I'm still able to get around 70% crit rate and 112% critical damage. I would love to bump this up. This is another place I think I have room to grow damage wise, and I've got a stomach of wool, although not crazy amount of health points. This is another thing I wouldn't mind being higher, actually. It would be nice if she was around 45 or more, maybe 50. But again, it's a trade-off, and with her, defense is the #1 priority to get that shield big. So I've chosen to go a little bit lower than I would prefer. Same set of masteries. This is the, I'm in the same boat here again. So now that I've shown you this, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to show you the run. Before I show you the run, I'm going to actually show you the team setup. So this run I actually recorded the day before. You can see today's runs. I did 211 on Void and 161 on Force, so this just does absolutely crazy damage. I'm going to go ahead though and go in I'm going to show you the team setup here, and this is the nice thing with this setup is when you set the AI, you can kind of run this Clanboss crockpot style. You can just set it and forget it. So I'm going to just bounce into the AI and show you what I did. You'll see Cardiel. I've prioritized his A2 over the A3. However, I open with the A3, and I do that to keep it in sync with the speed tune and automate it. On Brago, I open with his A1 so that I can achieve his 1-turn delay, and then I prioritize A3 and then A2. These are both 3-turn cooldowns. This priority is the default priority, but I've gone ahead and just specified it anyway just to make sure that everything is exactly the way I want it to be in the AI. And again, that should deal with the 1-turn delay on the setup for him. Valkyrie, absolutely no delay. She'll use her abilities right away, and she prioritizes the right one. Lydia prioritizes the way you want it to. However, I will start with her A3, and then I will go to the A2 as is the typical Lydia priority. Last, I have Krisk, and Krisk has a 1-turn delay before he begins to use his abilities. Then he actually uses his A2 and then A3. So I've set this to be the opener, and then I've prioritized his A2 over his A3. These are both 3-turn cooldowns, so once you get it in the right turn sequence, they're not going to clash or anything, so there's no harm in flipping these. So I went ahead and set his A2 to be the first priority and his A3 to be the second, and this is purely to automate the run. So what you're going to see then when I go in to the actual run, you're going to see just go right into it, and I will do nothing. It will be on auto from start to finish. It will sync up like the typical Pavo comp at turn 4 and be a 2-1 comp from turn 4 on. So it's really cut and dry. I've tried my hardest to find a better speed tune than that one for a Lydia Krisk team. I honestly haven't. So, I tip my cap to them for that, and it works really well. So I'm going to go ahead now, and I will show you the actual run. It is auto from start to finish, so you will see me do nothing the whole run. I'm going to probably put it to music. You guys can watch it. It will be sped up because it is an insanely long hour-plus run. And you will see at the very end there is a slight there'll be a slight hiccup, and I actually stopped recording as I went to cancel the run, since I had to stop right before turn 137. That is the turn limit would be the second attack on turn 137. That would be 1,500 turns. I stopped it after the first attack on 137, and in the run you'll see it tops out at about 274 million damage. It's a pretty awesome run. So I'm going to go ahead and start this up now, and enjoy it.
there you go, 274 million. It's an excellent run. You can see this team. I don't know if it's a threat to challenge Victor's, 312 million damage record, but it definitely is doing great work. I could see this. I could see this definitely in the 280s with a few more tweaks, but we'll see. In any case, I hope you've enjoyed this. If you have questions or comments, you can feel free to leave them in the comments section below. In the description, I am leaving a link to the speed tune and also a link to the Hard Up Heroes Discord. If you have questions or you want to replicate this team or really anything like that, feel free to also reach out to me on Discord. If you haven't done so yet, please like and subscribe to this video and to my channel. It'll support my channel and it'll help get the word around. And I hope you have a great day.